Ever have one of those mornings, where you feel like you're already behind before your feet even hit the floor?
Oh, absolutely. The alarm goes off. Maybe you hit snooze a couple of times.
Uh-huh. Guilty.
And then, boom, the day just feels like it's already sprinting away from you. We've all been there.
We really have.
Mm-hmm.
But what if those first few hours could actually be kind of like a secret weapon for a more focused, maybe even, dare I say, enjoyable day?
That's exactly what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive into morning routines, and we're drawing heavily from this really fascinating book, My Morning Routine.
Right. The one with interviews from like 64 different people?
Yeah, 64 successful individuals from just all over the
Like
place.
it's super diverse, isn't it? I mean, you've got presidents, top athletes, artists, entrepreneurs.
And parents. Can't forget the parents, the ultimate multitaskers. It's a real mix of how people tackle those first few hours. And what's great about it, I think, is that it immediately shows there's no single right way. Our goal here isn't just to list what people do, but to kind of pull out the key ideas.
The principles behind it.
Exactly. The principles and, actionable things that you, listening, can maybe experiment with to build a morning that actually works for your life, boosting focus, productivity, well-being, all that good stuff.
Yeah, forget the rigid, like, you must do this advice. This is more about seeing the patterns, exploring options, and figuring out how to consciously shape those first hours. Okay, so let's get into it. Where's the best place to start? Like, the foundation?
Well, I think it really starts with the moment you wake up. The book kind of hints at the power of an intentional wake-up.
Intentional, meaning?
Meaning you're consciously choosing how you start, rather than just, reacting to the alarm or the emails piling up.
Yeah. And one thing that kind of jumped out is the snooze button thing.
Yeah.
Apparently not many of these folks use it, only like a third.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? And the thinking behind avoiding it, or at least what the science suggests, is that hitting snooze gives you really fragmented, low-quality sleep.
So those extra few minutes aren't actually helping.
Right. It can lead to what's called sleep inertia, basically that really deep grogginess that can actually stick around longer than if you'd just gotten up the first time.
Wow, okay. Sabotage, not bonus rest.
Sort of. And the book mentions a gentler approach, like nudging your wake-up time just 5 minutes earlier each week makes it less jarring.
That makes sense. Slow and steady. And the book gives examples of this intentional start, right? Like the president of MIT.
Exactly. L. Raphael Reff. His routine sounds quite structured, which probably reflects the huge demands of his job, needing that control. But then you also see adaptability, like with Daisy Khan adjusting her routine during Ramadan.
So it's not rigid. It adapts to life.
Precisely. It's about aligning your morning with what's important now, your priorities, your circumstances.
And Caroline Paul, the author. Her routine sounds so calm.
Yeah, hers is a great example. Waking up around 6.00, 6.30, coffee, feeding the animals, protein bar, reading. It's like creating this deliberate, quiet buffer.
A calm zone before the day hits.
Exactly. It seems designed to foster that sense of control and connection.
So for you listening, maybe just think for a sec. How does your wake-up feel right now? Is it intentional or more reactive?
Yeah, good question. And building on that intentional start, the next logical step the book explores is using those early hours for focus and productivity.
Which totally makes sense, right? You've hopefully got more mental energy, fewer distractions pulling at you. The book mentions willpower being higher in the morning.
That's the idea. There's this concept, ego depletion, which basically says our self-control is like a muscle that gets tired during the day.
Ah, okay.
So tapping into that peak willpower first thing to tackle your most important tasks, that's pretty strategic.
So that's where setting intentions or prioritizing your to-do list comes in handy.
Absolutely. And a huge part of that is creating a distraction-free zone, which often means resisting the phone.
Ugh, the phone. It's like another limb for most of us. But yeah, the book makes a strong case for putting it off.
It really does. You look at Ariana Huffington, she consciously avoids her phone to do gratitude practice and meditation first.
Directing attention inward.
Exactly. Instead of instantly getting hit with emails, news, social media, all that external noise that can trigger stress. Or Ryan Holiday, who talks about using that prime time for the big thing.
The stuff that really matters.
Yeah, get those done, and then you have more mental bandwidth for whatever else pops up later.
So maybe a practical tip for you listening is, could you pick just one critical task, something to tackle in that first hour before the chaos starts?
Exactly. Seize that quiet time. Be proactive, not reactive. Now, another theme that comes up a lot is exercise. morning workouts.
Right. Some people live by them, others not so much. What are the main benefits highlighted in the book?
Well, beyond the obvious physical stuff, the interviews consistently point to benefits like better energy through the day, improved mood, and even building discipline.
Discipline that carries over.
Yeah, there's this sense that starting with a physical accomplishment, even a small one, kind of sets a positive trajectory for everything else.
And it doesn't have to be some crazy intense thing, right? The book emphasizes that.
Definitely not. Consistency seems way more important than intensity, especially when you're starting out. Even short bursts of activity can build the habit and give you those benefits.
Like General McChrystal's 4 a.m. workout is intense, but not everyone needs that.
Exactly. His is one end of the spectrum. Super disciplined, varied activities. Then you have someone like Rebecca Soni, the swimmer, with her structured training. Both prioritize movement, but tailored to their own goals.
So if 4 a.m. sounds insane, maybe just think about movement you might actually enjoy, like even 10 minutes. A walk, some stretching.
Totally. Find your entry point, something sustainable for you. And alongside the physical, the book also talks a lot about mindfulness.
Mindfulness, okay, that can sound a bit vague sometimes. What does it actually look like in these routines?
Yeah, practically speaking, it's about practices that help quiet the mental noise, bring some calm, some clarity. So think meditation, journaling, maybe just a few moments of gratitude.
And even short sessions help.
Seems like it. The book suggests even 5 or 10 minutes can make a real difference over time. The benefits sort of compound.
And you see people really committing to it, like Jack Dorsey.
Yes, Jack Dorsey apparently dedicates a full hour starting at 6:15 a.m. to meditation using Headspace.
An hour, wow.
Yeah, which just shows how much value he places on that mental clarity for his, very demanding job.
So for someone listening who's maybe curious but feels a bit intimidated, a first step could be super simple, like a 5-minute guided app.
Exactly. Or even just focusing on your breath for a couple of minutes. Just experience that little bit of calm. Start small.
Makes sense. And it's not just about the morning itself, is it? The book talks about prepping the night before.
Ah, yes. The evening routine, the unsung hero.
Right. How does that connect?
Well, the book frames it as priming yourself for a smoother morning. Taking just a few minutes in the evening to, say, lay out your clothes, pack your bag, maybe jot down your main tasks.
Reduces that morning decision overload.
Precisely. It cuts down on friction and that feeling of being rushed right away. Plus, there's the consistent advice about limiting screen time before bed.
Yeah, that blue light thing.
Yeah.
Affects sleep quality.
Big time. And good sleep is crucial for the morning routine to even work. The book has examples, like Scott Adams, the Dilbert creator.
What does he do?
His evening routine involves prepping his work stuff, planning his schedule. It helps him jump right into creative work first thing in the morning, apparently.
So setting himself up for success the night before.
Exactly. So a simple action for you listening might be, tonight, just write down your top priority for tomorrow. Maybe gather what you need for it. Small step, big impact.
Minimize morning friction. I like that.
And underlying all of this, of course, is sleep. Good quality sleep.
The foundation.
Absolutely. You can plan the perfect morning, but if you're exhausted, it's just not going to happen or it'll feel awful.
We all know we need it, but it's often the first thing to go when life gets crazy. What are the key sleep tips from the book?
Well, the big ones are aim for a consistent 7 to 8 hours. Create a sleep-friendly bedroom, dark, quiet, cool, no screens.
The screen-free bedroom. Tough, but important.
Very. And also, keeping a relatively consistent sleep-wake time, even on weekends, as much as possible. It helps regulate your body clock, your circadian rhythm.
Right. And there are examples of people really guarding their sleep, aren't there?
Definitely. There's a writer-photographer I mentioned who makes sure they're asleep by 10:30 p.m. to get 9 hours, and they actively avoid screens beforehand, specifically to protect their morning.
They see it as directly fueling their morning effectiveness.
Exactly. So maybe a good prompt for you listening is, take an honest look at your sleep. Is there one small change you could try? Just one thing to improve quality. Even 15 more minutes can help.
Yeah, definitely worth thinking about. Now, life isn't always neat and tidy. What about adapting routines? Like for parents or when you travel?
Such an important point. The book does address this. For parents, flexibility is obviously key. Jillian Michaels talks about her kid often being her alarm clock.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So for parents, it's often about finding tiny pockets of time for self-care. Maybe just 5 minutes of quiet while the coffee brews, or a quick stretch. It's not about perfection.
Little moments count. And for travel, or unpredictable schedules.
The advice leans towards having portable habits,
Right.
things you can do anywhere, short meditations, journaling, maybe a quick body weight exercise routine.
Like Cameron Russell focusing on those adaptable practices when she travels.
Exactly. Maintaining some core consistency even when the environment changes.
And really, that principle of having core adaptable habits is useful for everyone, right? Even if you don't have kids or travel constantly. Life throws curveballs.
Absolutely. Building that resilience into your routine is key. Which brings us to the final point, really. These routines aren't set in stone. They evolve.
It's not about finding the perfect routine and sticking to it forever.
Nope. It's an ongoing experiment. The book suggests giving a new habit a decent trial, maybe a week or two, to see how it actually feels and works for you.
And starting small is better.
Usually, yes. And linking new habits to existing ones helps. Like after you brush your teeth, you do 5 minutes of stretching. That cue helps it stick.
So it's more of a personal journey, discovering what works for you, adjusting as needed.
Exactly. Empowering yourself to see it as a process. So just to kind of wrap up the main ideas.
Now let's recap.
It's about intentionality when you wake up, prioritizing focus for your key tasks, making space for self-care like exercise and mindfulness.
Don't forget prepping the night before and getting good sleep.
Crucial. And remembering to be flexible and adapt as life changes.
And the big takeaway is, the best routine is yours. The one that actually supports your goals, your well-being, your lifestyle. Not just copying someone else.
Precisely. Use these insights as inspiration to experiment. Try small things. See what clicks.
Okay, so maybe a final thought for you to chew on.
Yeah.
What's one small, intentional action you could realistically try adding to your morning, starting tomorrow? Something to make the day feel a bit more focused, maybe more fulfilling?
Just one small thing.
Yeah. And then just observe. See what difference that one small change makes over the next week. Could be interesting.